Aloha. You did a wonderful job today. I'm so very proud of you. It's okay if you did not have time to practice. I understand life. It happens. One thing we do want to do is make sure we're using a fresh reed that's not has anything on it. If you have a reed that has nothing on it, the chances of it vibrating a little bit better on your mouthpiece and the armature and on your lips is going to also increase the note value that we have and the longevity. It's going to make it easier in the beginning. So I would definitely say if you're going to put anything on your lips, some sort of balm that doesn't have a grease agent, something that like a chapstick kind of works. I remember using it. It's kind of the same as the stuff we put on our cork to keep it clean. Other than that, not going to tell you how to live your life. You do you. Make sure we're nice and wet. Easiest way to explain this again, right up against here, put a little dab of spit on the whole thing. Why not? It's wet anyways. It will stay up there. If you can look at there and see any light over the top of it, that means that you need to go a little further. So the idea is to have it up there and then put your ligature on there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these little wires and we're gonna take them back so this floats down on there. And what we wanna do is kind of put our thumb about right here to hold the bamboo reed from not going too far down and making sure that it doesn't go past the top here. Because we wanna blow through the fuselage, come down through the chamber here, and if we put just the right amount of air right in between there while putting pressure in between the two, we get the vibration and the buzz. That vibration and buzz is going to be the frequency we're looking for to make this whole thing work. And I understand you understand this because you're already getting notes out. Now you see how this extends past further? If you see that, what you want to do is make sure you take this off, look at it, and make sure that you have it on the right direction. There should be a smaller and a bigger side. The bigger side needs to go down on the fatter part of the mouthpiece, directly in the center of this unit. I'm gonna take it off. When we do this and then we clear this beveled line here and it goes down and fits right in the middle, smooch, nice and snug, and this is right here, we get a note that you can sustain. So the idea is take this mouthpiece with you everywhere you go. Guess what? This mouthpiece should be replaced after you learn how to play the saxophone, or keep it as a memento. But the idea is if you have this unit set up perfectly, the end result is you learn how to play on a mouthpiece. When you get a new mouthpiece and you get one that's worth 50, 60, 80, 100 bucks sometimes, whoo, it changes the way that you play. So what we do is we learn how to use this mouthpiece in the beginning the right way. One thing we've been talking about is where to put our mouth and how to make the noises come out. As I said, take this with you all week. Honk, 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 hoo, hoo, squeak, squeak. Try all the things we talked about with the flat lip. Try all the things about rolling the lip forward and then moving it so it's a flattened, flat, gushy, mushy lip. And then try putting that on there. Always make sure that your strap is nice and secure before you do it. Thumb and then your thumb rest. All these this week. If you're going to be sitting side, which is concert style, and I commend you, I would suggest putting something between your strap and your neck. Just tends to get tedious after a while. You can bend this just a teeny bit, but make sure that when you put it in, the cork is at least 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, depending on what model you have. Give a little tootsie. Make sure we hit our C, or our E flat, so our C sharp. Sharp, so I'm going to go down on it. Remember, when you're squeezing this, never squeeze your octave here. Always squeeze right in front of it. It might look like I'm holding it, but it's just over the top of it. We'll get to overtones later. So the idea is if your mouthpiece is set up correctly, this is right here, you will be able to get a nice clean sound. What I've noticed is I put mine down a little bit too far, so I'm going to loosen up. Get the reed exactly where I want it. Wonderful. And as you just saw, I use my tongue to see where it is. Nothing worried about that. You're putting this instrument in your mouth. This is your mouthpiece. You should know exactly how the reed should sound on here is exactly how you should set up your mouthpiece. See how that is exactly level? Some people like to push it just a itty bit right in front of it. If you push it a little itty bit, it's still the same thing. You're just going to get a different type of vibration. I noticed that I've got a little striation. I've got a little cut in my reed, which ain't no thing. I'll play through it. I think that's a good sound. And you also want to make sure that it's equal on both sides before you put your ligature back on. Right there. And remember, when we're focusing on the mouth, we're talking about the embouchure. What we're doing right here and how we blow the note comes exactly off like it does. Forte, piano, pianissimo. If we're practicing that while we're starting this, it becomes a lot easier to gauge dynamics. Hear how that becomes silky smooth? I gave it a little bit too much vibrato and shake on there. But what I'm trying to exhibit is my fingers are always over my pads. And to show you that, I think I might just stand up. Do, 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 do. There we go. So when playing this, what we'd want to do is stand up straight, sit down, make sure you're at attention. I'm going to revert back to straight up, down. Now what we can see here is my basic fingerings. What we have is our 1 pad, 2 pad, 3 pad, and we 4, 5, 6. We refer to them as just being individual pads. There are notes around them and in between. And I'm not going to refer to everyone as the pad it's actually called. If so, we'd be going through contradictory terms. But like when we hold down a G major, this is a G pad. So anyway, the long story short is we're not going to go through the whole process of talking to those. But we are going to be talking about how to go from our C sharp to a C, to the B, to the B flat, to the A, to the A flat, to the G flat, to the F flat, to the E flat, to the D. So when we go through the process of that, you're going to hear all these notes. It's an interesting pull. You're going to want to practice these notes as we did in practice. When playing and having a C sharp, the book has us hold that for 4 beats. So let's hold that. Do 4 beats, 4S, 4 beats. Try from loud to soft every other time. Breathe. Breathe. Notice how I was able to drop the tone. The reason why I was able to drop it effortlessly is because the breaths that I took weren't huge breaths in between that. They were moderated breaths just so I can breathe and not pass out from blowing out a saxophone. But it also allowed me the opportunity for that first one to be loud. I didn't really take a breath. I could. I used what was in my lung capacity and just a little bit what was in my cheekbones here with the air in my mouth. And then lastly, there's no air in my mouth, just a little in my lungs. There's nothing in my body. Having less air from your diaphragm slowly come up into your esophagus and then out through your mouth, controlled through your own embouchure in a mouthpiece with a very finite amount of space to go through, and then through a chamber which is meant to go through a fuselage which goes down to a ever projecting movement. The vibration that is generated here, if you can think that note inside of your head, while learning, please do. If you can hear G major as being a 1 of G, a 2 of A, a 3 of B, a 4 of, you guessed it, C, 5 of D, we're going to have a 6 of E, 7 of F sharp, and then open with our thumb down for the octave of G. After our original G major, A, well, not major, just G, A, B, C, I hit my octave on the back of the thumb near the thumb pad, the little one that goes like that, curves over. And then I threw that with my 6th pad down, the D major right here, because I know that that's going to give me the best tone. I might slip into the low and do one of those when I just want that high note you can't hit if you make your lip super stiff. We'll work on that later, but for this week, go through the steps of hearing all the notes you note. The book showed it with just the B and then the A. What happened? The B line did a whole note rest, whole note rest, whole note rest. It still had 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats, 4 beats. Then it did a line that had an A. And then the third line did a B to A, B to A rest, something like that. You can make your own music lines, and you can make it out of the chords you know. You could think minor seconds and go half steps, tonally. This looks chromatic, like C sharp. That's the one we learned, but you can also put your thumb down here on the first of your bars, your 3 here, and go up. Sequentially, there's other fingerings, but we can go higher. We'll get to that later. We'll even go through the names of these, but for right now, know that from a open with just our thumbs on, C sharp, 2nd finger down on our 2nd pad for C, 1st finger down on our 1st pad for B, our 2nd finger, and then of the 3 keys right here controlling, it gives us our A flat. So our A flat key is going to leave us to that, or not A flat, I'm sorry, B flat. When we remove that hand, it gives us an A. So from the top, C sharp. We're going to go down here. 3rd one, 1, 2, 3. Remember, your fingers should stay on the pads. You shouldn't hit the top, the middle, and you should try to hit this one and not really even the pad, the lever in between. We'll go over these again when we get to it to figure out these notes for our playing. So with the 3 down, you're going to be going 3 down, finger on the G pad, which I said doesn't matter if you know what this is, but it is the pad you play when you're playing a G to get a G flat or a G sharp when you go through it, rather. And then after that, all 3 down, middle finger gives us G flat or F sharp. When we switch our finger over, that gives us our F natural. When we put both fingers down, that gives us an E or an F flat. When we put all 3 down and then put our pinky down, we're going to be getting an E flat or a D sharp. And then when we remove that finger, we get a D. That's as far as we have gone, but that's a lot of notes. They're all half steps. One thing you can do with knowing the G major scale is go out of the G major scale. Meaning, if you were to play a G major scale, you would have G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. If we already know that the notes in between there are you have a plethora of things to play with. Half steps here and there, movements of melodies. Here's one. Try it out. G to a B to a D to a G with the octave down. takes us up 1, 3, 5, 1. It blows a whole octave. That pinnacle point is awesome. From that high G, we could go to the G here, make sure the octave is down to get the high one, and then play our B with the octave down. Play the B flat, right? So put 2 down and your fingerings here, hold the pads, but don't put them down, and just play your bottom of your 3 bars. Lift it up. Play the G with the G pad to give you an A flat. And then land on the G after going up and down a trill. All together would sound something like messed up on. And I can tell you, it might not seem very musical, but those are the things that somebody playing saxophone is going to start as their beginning licks. This one, consider it your beginning lick. It uses a G major triad. And then if you want to play around with this whole thing, just get any blues backing track on the internet and then play along with it. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then G are going to be all the notes you use to play rhythms. Putting those in intervals, we will work on how to play whole notes. How to do half notes. Quarter notes. Understand, putting all this together, it seems overwhelmingly weird, but when your fingers start playing the things you remember as your patterns, it becomes a secondary thing for us. I really enjoyed seeing you today. Remember, when we get together next, just have this mouthpiece memorized. Be able to take this instrument off, bit longer than you normally do. If you could play it for 12 seconds, shoot for 16. Make sure to take a deep breath and try it. Blow out half of your ear and try it again. Blow out all of your ear, try it again. See how far you get. You will notice that building up your diaphragm muscles, just like building up your actual muscles and your mouth muscles and any muscles, you just become stronger when you break it down and build it back up. Remember, if you're drinking a lot of water, stay hydrated. This will take it out of you, but you should be able to carry this mouthpiece around with you. If nothing else, you don't need to have all of it. You just take this with you. Nothing? Well, put your hand around it. That's really high off the smell. Should be able to get a smaller note or a high note, and then depending on where your mouth is. You're gonna get different sounds out of it. The whole idea of this is to have your reed on your mouthpiece to get the tone. Over and over and over again, you're gonna come into the idea that these notes sound weird and awful. As soon as you get away from having just that one awkward note, you will find that note, after hearing those awful notes, the constant steady stream, the one that makes the most sense in your mouth. And then when you put it on, everything together, it just sounds great coming through here. We've been working on individual minor seconds. You are learning how to play melody lines, and the first 1, 3, 5, 1 you played was in the key of G major. Having G major is G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, and then G major. The reason why it is interesting is because we would actually, in a melody line, if we were playing just in the key of G, then to C, then to D, even though the chord changes, C and D are in the key of G. When we know that F sharp is in the key of D, not in C, but if we play G Mixolydian, or if we play C Lydian, it happens that we work on different modes which incorporate these scale degrees, sharps or flats. They have names. It doesn't matter either way. We're going to learn them, and they're going to be fun. And we're all going to take this at just the pace we want to. Remember to have fun this week. Try this and try and get at least 5 minutes on the saxophone here and there to just go over scales, and then practice the leaps that we worked on. Remember, control your breathing and trying to get a bigger diaphragm down here leads to bigger breaths and being able to pause and space those when playing with others and yourself. Anyway, it was great seeing you. I'll see you next week.